how I came to find Islam, the story goes back a long way, back to 2000, 2001. And I was living in the States at the time in Dallas, Texas. And I just moved there and I was looking for a place to live. And out of nowhere, this man walks into my office and he just says, "Hey, I'm Alif and I've got an apartment and you can rent from me." And he was from Bangladesh, by the way. And at the time, I didn't know anything about Islam and didn't understand the concept of how if you're a Muslim, you should help people who are wayfarers. I had no concept of this. And I said no. He seemed a bit strange at the time. But he kept on coming back. He just day after day after day. I just couldn't understand the persistence of this person. Like, what does he care about me for? So eventually I said, okay, sure, I'll go and take a look, and saw it. It was a nice apartment, so I rented from him. And a few days later, we would start to chat about life, and eventually it turned to religion. And he asked me a very key question. He asked me, is it possible that you've been misguided about religion? And I thought for a moment, and I said, well, yeah, of course, it's possible. And I think something changed in my life at that point. At that time, I had no clue, but I think my life took a new direction as soon as I was able to make that answer. Of course, at the time, I wanted nothing to do with religion or Islam. I was a complete atheist unbeliever. And 3 years after that, I'd already been married and divorced, and it was a really bad time for me. And so I started to re-evaluate my entire life. I questioned everything. And I withdrew into a little shell within myself. And I started to read again. I wasn't much of a reader. And then I went back to a book that I had read years prior called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So I read that again, hoping to find some answers. Nothing really happened for me until I got to the back of the book. And there was a list at the back called Wisdom Literature. And I just started to methodically read over the books in that list, including some religious books like the Bhagavad Gita, which I read. I thought, okay, that's pretty good. And then eventually I got to the Quran. I thought, oh, okay. It's translated by Muhammad Marmaduke Pickthall, a very specific translation. And so I thought, well, where do I get the book? So I ended up going to a used bookstore back in Winnipeg at the time. And I went to the religious section. And sure enough, there was one old dog-eared copy of this particular translation of the Quran. So of course I bought it. It was $3.50. Still remember the price. Took it home and I read it. And I got through it, page after page, cover to cover. And by the end, I was just like, this is it. Something went clunk within me, and just something was completed at that point. And I just